Okay, hello class. Today we are going to be combining art and math into one lesson. So we're going to talk about a few math concepts and then we are going to turn them into an art project. So it should be a fun class period today and we should get it all done today, and then at the end we'll present them. If we don't have enough time to present at the end, then we will just go ahead and present next time we're in class, but we're going to try as hard as we can to get these done today and make them look good. So our objectives today, we have two of them. First, the students will design and construct a robot by only using quadrilaterals. And then a second objective is the students will distinguish a variety of quadrilaterals from each other and use them to create a robot. So, as you can tell from those objectives, we are going to be working with quadrilaterals today to create a robot. So I want you to talk with your group, your table mates, and discuss what quadrilaterals are or what you think they are. If you don't know, take your best guess, okay? Okay, so now that you guys have discussed that, I'm going to give you the definition of quadrilateral, and I'm going to write it on my chalkboard or whiteboard so that you guys can see it the whole time and flash back to it if you need it. Okay, so a quadrilateral is a figure with 4 sides and 4 angles. Okay, so I have that written on here for you guys so you guys can see it throughout the whole time. It says a quadrilateral is a figure with 4 sides and 4 angles. Okay, so I want you to discuss with your table mates again and think of some examples of quadrilaterals, some shapes. Okay, so go ahead and talk with your group. Okay, so I heard a couple of the tables mention a square. So I'm going to draw that on the board so you guys can see it. So yes, a square is a quadrilateral, okay, because it has 4 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 angles, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that is, and then I also heard you guys say a rectangle. That is another quadrilateral, okay. And then we have a rhombus, which is kind of just like a square turned on its side, like a diamond, okay. And then we have a parallelogram. Okay. Oh goodness. Okay. So you can see it has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides and 1, 2, 3, 4 angles. Okay. And then we have a trapezoid. Okay, we have a trapezoid right here at the bottom. And then we have a kite. This one's always the hardest for me to draw. Okay, we have the kite. Okay, so those are the shapes those are the most common quadrilaterals, and those are the shapes that we're going to be using today for our robots. Okay, so now that we have those and we have these on the whiteboard so that you guys can see them throughout the class, so when you're making your robots, you can refer to those if you need them. So the next thing we're going to do is you guys are going to sketch out the robot that you want to make, okay? And I'm going to hand out some grid paper for you guys so it's a little easier for you to use or for you to draw. I have rulers and you all have pencils if you need those, but you shouldn't need a ruler with the grid paper. The rulers will come more in handy when you're actually cutting out the shapes. So I'm going to hand out the grid paper and I'm going to show you guys. So this was my sketch of my robot, okay? This is what it looks like. My final product does not look exactly like this. I changed a little bit of it up. So what you put on here does not have to be 100% what you use on your final product. It's just a sketch, a rough idea of what you want it to look like. Okay, so this is mine. So I'm going to hang it up on the whiteboard so you guys can look at it if you want. But make sure that you're not just copying it. You're being as creative as you can, because that is what it's about. Okay, is making the robot your own. So now, since I passed out the grid paper, I'm going to let you guys have a little bit of time um, to do that, okay? And I'll walk around and help you guys if you need anything. Okay, and while you guys are working on your sketches of the robots that you want to do, I guess I forgot to mention, you want to make sure that, so you're only using the quadrilateral shapes. So you can see in mine that I did, I used squares, I used a rhombus, a rectangle, I used a trapezoid, I used a parallelogram as the mouth, I used the kite as the nose. So you can use all kinds of shapes. You need to make sure that you use at least 4 different shapes. Okay, you don't have to use all of them if you don't want to, but you need to use at least 4 different ones, okay? So while you're working on those, I'm gonna show you, this is my final product of mine, okay? And I'll put the sketch next to it so you can see how they are a little different. The stomach is different. It's mostly the same except the stomach is a little different, okay? But this was my final sketch. So your guys's, we have this brown or black cardstock that you're gonna glue the shapes out when you cut it, okay? And so think about that while you're drawing yours, and I'll show you a couple more examples of what kind of things you can do. Let me see. There it is. Okay, so these are some examples that I found on the internet of quadrilateral shapes. So you can see this one has a lot going on. It has some different colors and it has a lot of different shapes. Okay, this is the second example. This one's a little more simple, but you can still tell it's a robot. It has different things that characterize it, and so that's another example. And there's this one. I believe you can still tell it's a robot. It's a lot bigger than the other one, so you can make it as big as you want, just as long as it's going to fit on your sheet of paper. You can still tell that it has different shapes, glued all over the place. And then the final examples are these two. And I would just, when you look at these, make sure you're looking at all of the different shapes that they use, because they're not just using squares and rectangles. They're using rhombuses, they're using kites, they're using all different ones, trapezoids. So you'll want to make sure that you use at least 4 different shapes, okay? So those are some examples. I will have those around the classroom so that you can see them if you need to, if you need some inspiration. But go ahead and keep working on your sketches, and then when most of you are done, I will hand out the paper for your robots. Okay, I can see that most of you are done with your sketches, so we're gonna move on, and those of you that are still working on the sketches, that's perfectly fine, but I am gonna start handing out the paper to students that are ready to start actually cutting in the quadrilaterals to make the robot, okay? So I'll hand out some paper to each of you. You can use whatever colors you want. Like I said, you'd be as creative as you want. This is completely yours, okay? And then if you aren't happy with your sketch or you want more ideas of robots, you can go ahead and use your tablets to look up different robots to get some inspiration, okay? So you can do that as well. But I'm gonna walk around, I'm gonna hand out the paper. I'm gonna have each of you a pair of scissors, a ruler, and a glue stick, okay? So as you go, it's up to you if you wanna freehand it. You don't have to use a ruler if you don't want to. You wanna make sure that I can tell what shape they are. So I wanna be able to tell that it is a square, that it's a rectangle, a rhombus. I suggest using the ruler, but if you think your hand is steady enough and you don't need to, just make sure that I can tell what shape you're cutting, okay? But you'll go ahead and you'll cut out the different shapes on the different colors of paper, and then you will glue it down with your glue stick on the black star cardstock paper that I've handed out. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys some time to go ahead and look at examples. You can browse the internet for more examples if you want, or you can look at the ones that I already provided you guys. But just take some time and start cutting out some shapes, figuring out what colors you want to use, what kinds of shapes, and start cutting them out and gluing them down. And I will walk around the classroom if anyone needs any help. Okay, your guys' robots are coming along nicely. I can see quite a few of you are getting into that and getting it glued down, and they look really good. I want you guys to take a break real quick. So put all of your supplies down, the scissors, rulers, all of that. And I want you guys to take a look at the rubric that I'm going to be using, okay? So let me share my screen. Okay, so this is the robot, or the rubric I'm going to be using for your robots. I'm going to be grading off of 4 different things. So the first one is, did you follow the directions? So if you want full points, you need to follow all the directions during the lesson, which means behaving while you're doing it, you're being safe with the scissors, you're gluing it, just making sure you are listening to what I say and you're following directions. The second thing is understanding. I want to make sure that you guys have a full understanding of quadrilaterals, what the quadrilateral is, what types there are, and that is what you're using on your robot. And then the third thing I'm grading on is your presentation. So after you guys are done today, we're going to be presenting these. You're going to need to make sure you state the name of the robot. So yes, you are going to name them after you're done. And then you're going to say why you chose the name and one thing you liked about the lesson in your robot, okay? And then the fourth thing I'm grading on is creativity. You want to make sure that you're not just copying a certain robot. You can pull ideas from each of them, but you want to make it your own. You want to be as creative as you can, okay? So that's the rubric. That's what we're basing. So if you want full points, you need to make sure to follow all of these examples in these directions. And so you guys can continue creating your robots. Okay, it looks like all of you are done with your robots. So now all you need to clean up your area, put the rulers, the glue sticks, the scissors away. Any leftover paper can be recycled. You just want to make sure that you have a pen or pencil on your desk, and that's it. So go ahead and get cleaned up, and you'll want to make sure that you have your robot on your table as well. So a robot and the pencil and everything else can be put away. So go ahead and do that. Okay, so now that everything's picked up, you are going to name your robot if you haven't already, okay? It can be any name you want as long as it's appropriate, and you're going to write it somewhere on your piece of paper that your robot is on. So once you do that, we are going to start presenting them to the class. And like I said, you've already seen the rubric. You need to state the name of your robot, why you chose that name, and then one thing you liked about this lesson. Okay, so you're going to stand in front of the class and you're going to present that. So I will go first. So, okay, this is, I went ahead and I named mine Quadri. I don't know if you can see it very well, because I really like the name Audrey, and it reminded me of quadrilateral, kind of. So I went with Quadri, so that's why I named it that. And one thing I really liked about this lesson is that you can make it your own. You get ideas, but you can you make it look however you want. You can use whatever colors, whatever quadrilateral shapes, just as long as you use at least 4. And so I really liked just that you could be as creative as you wanted with it. But yes, this is Quadri. So now you guys are going to take turns presenting them to the class since we have enough time before the end of the day, and then you're going to turn them in once you're done. Once you're done presenting, you can put it on my desk, and then I will grade them and I will hang them up in the hallway tomorrow. Okay?